Welcome in to the PHNX Suns podcast, brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's #1 sportsbook app. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast, and leave us a 5-star review. I'm Lindsay Smith here with Saul Bookman, Espo, and Gerald Bourget. Gentlemen, today's random Monday question of the day is, if you could be the child of any NBA player, which one would you choose?
Ooh, Steph Curry.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Current or any all time?
Any all time.
all time?
All time, sure.
Oh,
why not?
That changes
Maybe
the
one
game
of
a little
each.
bit.
How about one current and one all time?
Grant Hill.
Okay.
Seems like a good dude.
I like those wholesome guys.
Yeah.
Bill Walton, because he's got the good shit, and you know he's sharing it. So.
Oh my God.
What? And he'd have great stories. I'm totally Bill Walton.
Oh, Jesus, changed you finally.
Yes, I'm all in.
I think Steph Curry is a good one. Dwayne Wade, I feel like would be solid too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, current definitely Steph Curry. Past, man, that's a tough one.
I was thinking like Michael Jordan or LeBron, but I don't think I'd like that at all.
No, absolutely
Like-
not.
LeBron might not be too bad.
LeBron,
but
yes.
he's not
Michael
past.
Jordan,
But just
hell no.
just in terms of like you're always going to be compared to your dad, and you're never
Oh,
going to
I
be
know.
your dad.
So pick somebody that was like really shitty. Tim Legler. There you go.
Oh,
I love your legs. I'm just kidding.
I'd say Wilt Chamberlain, but you probably wouldn't know you were his kid with his record there. You know, like
Terrible.
Oh my God.
I should have known it was going to go this route.
You
all right.
asked
well,
for it.
I thought you guys were going to be more serious and genuine.
I
kinda
said
fun-
Grant Hill.
It's kind of funny that I picked Steph Curry because he literally might have a new daddy here coming soon.
Oh my God.
Hey, let's go.
Oh my God.
Didn't even
All
plan
right.
that.
Well, everyone in the chat already has been talking about KD. It was the first 6 chats that we got was just KD, KD, KD. So let's talk about it. Christian Winfeld on Twitter said, sources, Kyrie Irving has requested and received permission from the Nets to find sign and trade offers from other teams. Kevin Durant still has not spoken to the Nets front office. Russell Westbrook to Brooklyn remains unlikely. How does this make everyone feel?
Let's go, baby.
Saul's overly excited.
Because every day there's a new rumor or a new move, the closer it is to Ewok season.
Look, I'm ready. All right, I'm researching costumes. I'll be
Ewok
here if it
apocalypse. Let's go.
I'm ready to dress as an Ewok if this actually happens. The thing that drives me nuts is the only player in the world that this would be possible with is Kyrie Irving, because they're saying he might opt out and sign a mid-level exception with the Lakers. Opt out of $37 million to sign for what? $6 million.
But he did agree to. He did tell the Nets that a sign and trade is something that they were going for, so that would prevent that from happening.
But now there's only the interest from the Lakers, so
Yeah,
they don't want to trade.
that you know of.
No, they reported there's no other team other than the Lakers interested right now. So, and if it were any other player, you go, well, then he's just going to opt back in. He's going back to Brooklyn. And then you go, wait, this is Kyrie Irving. There's like a 95% chance he's just different enough to actually take that mid-level exception.
Well, he's probably made plenty of money throughout his career to just be completely comfortable if he never did anything for the rest of his life.
It's true. 30 million's a lot.
And he has
to
till Wednesday.
give up. He does.
The clock's
deadline to opt in or out is Wednesday, so that's coming up. It was
Wednesday's show is going to be lit.
It
as
is.
fuck. Let's go.
It was kind of alarming that there weren't other sign and trade partners, and I guess that's kind of where Kyrie's perception and value is right now. But it is good to hear that he would be crazy enough to take that mid-level, because that domino is the first one that has to fall if what's going to happen happens.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was crazy, and 2 weeks ago, and now I'm resigned to the fact that this is very, very likely
Could happen.
That it has a very, very good chance of happening.
Well, I wish you would have just said midway through the year the Suns are not winning the championship. Then maybe we'd be holding up to Larry O'Brien right now.
I'm a great reverse jinx.
Oh my
that's true.
gosh.
This is true, Espo. You need to use this power or curse, whichever one you want to call it, for good.
There is no way LeBron James will ever come to Phoenix. Not a chance in hell.
And certainly not both of them at the same time.
No, never would happen.
So one thing that I found that was interesting from this article, they said that And it's for NY Daily News. If you guys didn't see it and you want to go read it, Christian said that KD said, quote, he feels like the front office didn't grow to understand Kyrie. And I can kind of see that just based on what we have seen come out in the last month or so. Tweets from ownership and kind of everyone just throwing shade at one another. It feels like there was never a solid relationship there from the beginning.
I think that the Nets decided to do their own research rather than get to know KD get to know Kyrie, and that's where things went wrong.
Listen, with Kyrie specifically, it's not business as usual. And if you're an organization that thinks that guys are just going to stay in line and they're always going to do what you ask them to do because you're paying them X amount of dollars, you have that all effed up with Kyrie. Like he's marched to his own drum his entire life. Mm-hmm. He just has. So the Nets completely fumbled this entire situation, obviously. And now they might be stuck in a situation where they don't have both Kyrie and KD, and they might only be stuck with Ben Simmons, which is just so damn comical.
See, I am taking the opposite angle. Like, this is on Kyrie. Like, why are we going to ignore that he's forced his way out of his last 2 or 3 teams, that he does this everywhere that he goes? And that, like, James Harden saw the writing on the wall. And if James Harden can look at a situation and be like, damn, this is toxic, I need to get out of here.
That's true.
That's Kyrie. Like, the Nets are going to get a king's ransom for Kevin Durant. Kyrie, like, I'm sorry, a dude only showing up to play half the games because he decided to do his own research, that's on him. And like, look, Kyrie has done a lot of good for this league, specifically during the 2020 bubble when he brought up some very cogent points about what is the league going to do to enhance and broadcast this message that's important right now. And you know what? He also is still kind of a head case at the same time. He does a lot of things that, like you said, he marches to the beat of his own drum, but it ruffles a lot of feathers. And there's a reason that he's going to be on his, 4th team in the last 4 or 5 years?
I mean, let's be honest. It wasn't that James Harden looked at it and knew it was time to get out. He looked at Philly and went, that's my boy Daryl Morey, and I know he's going to give me an outrageous amount of money, even if I don't deserve it.
Kyrie playing half the games was the reason he left. Like
that definitely.
Which is kind of funny because if I know the Lakers are the ones that are rumored to be the ones going after Kyrie, but there are some avenues to where Kyrie might literally go to Philadelphia, which would just be so damn hilarious.
It would be funny. But when you look at it, if Kyrie goes to the Lakers and KD winds up in Phoenix, the Pacific Division has now become the toughest conference in the NBA. Like, you got the Warriors, who are still the Warriors. You've got the Lakers now with a big 3. The Suns would have a big 3. The Kings are still the Kings. But then you got the Clippers with Kyrie and PG. All of a sudden,
Kawhi.
Kawhi, excuse me, and PG. All of a sudden, you got a murderer's row just in the division, not even in the Western Conference.
It would be fun. I mean, those games would be battles for sure. Every single, and if the Suns got KD, night in, night out, they'll be on national TV. Just about, I'd say at least 25% of their games would be on national television.
100%. It would just, I mean, we'll get into this later. The amount of attention that Devin has gotten since his relationship with Kendall Jenner, it would be that times 50 within the basketball and sports space if KD came here for Book.
Yeah, I mean, it would be the magnifying glass on Phoenix would be in a way that we've never seen here when it comes to the Suns. It would be next level national media scrutiny and attention. It'll be crazy if it happens.
Well, here's the thing. The Nets are out here saying, okay, if we lose them both, we're prepared. Here's what Brian Windhorst had to say on the situation.
Nets saying the Nets are putting out there right now that they are prepared to lose both Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. They would rather lose them both than go through what they went through last season, which was a miserable season under the situation that Kyrie Irving contributed to creating.
Do you honestly think last year will be worse than if they lose both of them for this upcoming season?
I
guess maybe in terms of basketball.
No, and here's why. From a competitive standpoint, obviously, like you've lost all 3 of your superstars in the span of a year, you're dead in the water. But if you are trading KD anywhere, you're getting young players, you're getting picks, and you're not staying still. Because if you lose Kyrie and keep Kevin Durant, who's disgruntled, how are you going to retool around just him? You can't do that on the fly this summer with your cap space situation. Like, you're not going to be able to do that. So it's better to just rip the Band-Aid off and prepare for it. Get something for KD while you can now and, start the next rebuild. It sucks that that's where you're at, but when you lost James Harden and got back Ben Simmons and he didn't play for you, that was the first domino. Now Kyrie wants out. It's better to just lean all the way into it and at least get young players and picks in return while you can.
You have to be at the bottom of the heap or at the top of the heap to enjoy life in the NBA. And it sounds funny to say that, but even with the 19-win season, at least we could sit here and say, but the future's bright. We got DA, we got Book, we got Mikal. We're going to see them grow. And that actually came to fruition, which is great in addition to Chris Paul. Living in the middle sucks. And if you're the Brooklyn Nets, you don't want to be in that spot. You basically, if you get rid of KD and Kyrie, you've got a complete overhaul rebuild on your hands. You don't want to be stuck in the middle.
Yeah, but it gives them a restart too in terms of perception and public relations. Kyrie Irving caused all sorts of waves for them last year, which it sounds like ownership probably wasn't a big fan of that going on. So that's a reset in that way too, and I understand it. I mean, think about it. Last year, for a lot of people, for a lot of us, was difficult, and for the Nets, they had to navigate one of their star players refusing to get vaccinated, the law in New York, all these things, all this talk. And I understand why you would want potentially a fresh start after all that, and an opportunity where that team likely wasn't going to win a title after watching it, so you can rebuild and try to put together something better.
I would normally agree with you had they not traded for Ben Simmons too. And I know they had to get rid of Harden, but Ben Simmons, I would argue, is just as much a distraction as Kyrie Irving for different reasons. You just never know if he's going to play. When's he going to be mentally, healthy? When's he going to be physically healthy? It just seems like it's one thing after another, and he's still going to be there. And he, at that point, if they lose all these other guys, he's now the new anchor of that team. And I don't know if that's necessarily a place you want to be either.
Yeah, but he's not offending, 2/3 of the country.
No, but he is pissing him off.
I don't know.
At least the fan base is.
Yeah, I get that, but I think it's a different.
Well, and how much of an asset is Ben Simmons at this point as far as movement goes? No team is going to take a chance on that anymore.
No, but they did get off the James Harden $47 million contract this year, so that in and of itself.
But Ben Simmons ain't cheap either, right? now.
No, but at least it's less than James Harden. Please, okay. Kyrie, take the mid-level exception in LA. Let's light this candle if we're going to do it.
All right. So I have a serious question, and I'm not trying to be petty or anything with this, but you brought up being in the middle sucks. And everyone in the comments is yeah, being in the middle sucks. You're just good enough to win a playoff series, but never a series contender. Do you honestly think that being in the middle sucks more than a 19-win season?
Depends on how long you're a 19-win team.
And it depends on what we're talking about as the middle. If you're good enough to win a playoff series, you need, if you're a young team, you need that momentum to show other stars in the league, hey, you come here and join this, we're on the upward trajectory. But if you're in the middle, say the Portland Trailblazers, not even good enough to make the play-in, but not bad enough to tank repetitively, you're in trouble. You need to kind of either bottom out or be on that upward trajectory.
If you're in that area where you're picking let's say 11 to 18, that's the worst place to be.
Yeah,
I get that, but I'm just saying from a season standpoint, it's got to be more enjoyable for 8 months, 6 months to watch a team that wins every once in a while than to watch a team that loses all the time.
I don't think so, because you have no chance.
Look at
the Coyotes.
I guess that's
the Coyotes
true.
are having fun doing this. When you have something to look forward to, you're having fun doing it. The Coyotes are laughably bad. When you're laughably bad, it's okay. But when you're as Saul's saying, middle of the road, it sucks.
I don't know. There were some seasons with the Suns where I was this friggin' sucks.
Yeah, but that was when it was a decade in to just being bad. Look,
well, the Coyotes are a decade into.
No, but not in this rebuild. They were in the middle for a
Yeah,
while.
that's why they stripped everything.
They were 2 points from getting in the playoffs. Go back after the Western Conference Final run in 2010 for the Suns, and you have 3 middling years, right? You're right around 500 with Steve Nash. You're fighting for that A seed. You don't get it. Like, that was purgatory. And the fact that they didn't choose to move on from Steve Nash and try to get young assets set them back an entire decade where they had to, the whole Lance Blanks era was all about being stuck in the middle and not bottoming out. And then you had to go through the bottoming out process. And before you know it, you're 10 years into the whole thing. And that's when it sucks. But if you commit to it and you bounce back 2 years later, it's well worth it.
Yeah, and the building through the middle thing was something the Suns dealt with again with that 2013-14 team that was surprisingly good when it felt like
tank.
Yeah, it was built to tank, and they won 48 games, and then they were stuck between a rock and a hard place. Like, okay, we thought we were going to be going for picks. Now we have to retool on the fly. They went for Aldridge. That didn't work out, and it was all kind of downhill from there. So building through the middle is really, really tough.
Can I ask you
That's
guys
fair.
one question on all this? Are these rumors doing the Suns a disservice? Because just say nothing happens, right? And they don't get a superstar. Your Suns Twitter is going to burn to the ground at that point. Like, people are going to freak the fuck out. Okay?
If they lose DA and don't get anything back, absolutely.
Well, I think even if they keep DA and only say add like an Eric Gordon or some tiny thing that could make them better, I still think Suns fans are going to freak out because now there's been this whole thing of, oh, KD championship, other couple other bigger names that have been rumored, and then you get nothing. I think it's going to be a meltdown.
It ultimately depends on how the West shakes out too. Like, if Golden State stays the same and the Lakers end up not getting Kyrie and nobody else really improves except for adding their superstars that were injured, then I think you're okay. And if you can add another piece like Eric Gordon, then okay, we've improved, and I think we still have a championship level contender. You're still good. But if they don't do that and Kyrie goes to LA, let's just say, and all these other pieces are moving around and the Suns just stay pat, they bring back DA and they just kind of hold serve, then yeah, I do believe Suns Twitter will be very upset.
I don't care. Like, that's my thing, is like, I don't care how they react. The thing is, if you bring back
the job, Gerald.
If you bring out, but that's what I'm saying.
With them every day.
Who cares if Suns Twitter melts down? My point is, if you bring back DA, if you extend Cam Johnson, if you keep Devin Booker on that supermax, you've had a good offseason. Like, no, it's not as exciting, and no, it doesn't move you as close immediately to a championship as if you get Kevin Durant, and that should still be the number one goal. But if you just bring everybody back and keep intact that 4-man core of a 64-win team, you're still on the upward trajectory. You still have to do more beyond that, obviously. But running it back, I understand why people don't want to run it back because of what happened in the Mavs series. But, like, we have to remember that was an all-time, like, crumbling act. That doesn't happen every year. Like, that was a once-in-a-lifetime type thing that we saw.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I agree that I wouldn't feel that way, but in my mind, it's like Suns fans putting an offer on a mansion,
Right.
And then the offer isn't accepted, and they have to go back to their 2,000 square foot house that they're going to remodel now, and it just doesn't feel as special.
I honestly feel like everybody needs to be prepared for that because I feel like that's the James Jones way.
Yeah.
It's like but it's not his own doing. Like, he's not the one that's saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to go do this, this, and this." He's always says the same thing. We're going to do whatever we think is in the best interest of the franchise and put us in a position to win a championship. Now, every team in the NBA says the same thing, but the Suns are literally in a position right now where they can affect the future of the Western Conference by making a significant move, and that's what will make people upset. Like, James Jones is, listen, it's a risk. It's a risk. You can either gamble that a sign and trade is going to be available with DA and go after a big fish like a KD, or you might completely swing and miss and lose everything. Like, it's a calculated risk.
My thing is that if they don't make a huge blockbuster move this offseason and you have DA back, that's a better plan B. as Jay in the chat kind of put it, than to your plan B being basically getting nothing in return for DA and not having an additional move fall into place. And now you just don't have DA for barely anything back. Like, I would much rather run it back with DA this year and make better moves next year should they be available if something that isn't amazingly great is not available this season. I would much rather do that than just get DA out of here for pennies.
Oh, I agree. 1,000,000%.
And I think for Suns Twitter, I think you just have to lower your expectations. Like, these are rumors, they're hypotheticals, they're let's try to connect the dots, but they're not 100% guarantee. Like, you just have to lower your expectations a little bit.
Well, again, like Gerald says, the core four is what you're hoping will stick together, because you're hoping that they're going to grow together and grow to a championship level team. And if that core four is able to stay together and make it through these next, I think, another year or two, maybe even 3, then you've got something that's a lot more stable. You don't have to worry about the volatility of it, and you're not hinging all your bets on a 37-year-old point guard, for instance. Like, you've kind of solidified yourself, and that's what the Warriors did. They were patient. They built through the draft. They got a couple free agents here and there, and now that core has been the core for the last 10 years and led them to 4 championships. So I'm not going to be mad if it's just DA that comes back and that's it. I just am not.
I will say, though, because we've talked a little bit about this, and we'll talk tomorrow about specific trades that the Suns could make for Kevin Durant. But I will say, because there's been a lot of talk about, okay, well, would it be Mikal? Would it be Cam? Would it be DA? Who's involved there? We've said this before. Anybody except Devin Booker would be fair game in that scenario, because you're getting Kevin Durant to pair with Devin Booker, and that puts you automatically in title contention. I will say, though, all 3 of them would be too much. Like, all 3 of DA, Cam, and Mikal would be giving up too much, because you don't want to completely gut the roster just to get KD here.
I would agree.
You want him to have some actual depth and pieces around them.
We'll pull that ripcord tomorrow. I think there'll be some discussions around that, so I think it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Speaking of former MVPs, and maybe the current one.
The current MVP.
Current MVP is Sean right now.
Sean has been coming in clutch so much these last few days.
Sean just keeps bringing in food and drinks for us. Thank you, Mr. DePaz.
He's got the pose down and everything, too.
Just because he came in, don't forget to watch him on ASU and his production work with the Coyotes.
All right.
I'm also on that show.
So where else are we going, Lindsay?
I don't know where we're going, but I do find this very interesting. So a couple weeks ago, we got our friends over at DraftKings to put DA's next team odds up for us to all put our bets on. And throughout the course of this has been maybe 10 days, 12 days since it's been up. The amount of movement, especially with Brooklyn as his next team, has just been crazy. So we got a graphic here for you guys to kind of help point this all out. So I think originally it was a plus 6,000 when it first came out, somewhere around there, right? But within the last handful of hours,
5 hours,
it has gone from plus 2,200 to plus 700 to plus 400 to right now, at least as of the time this show started at 2 p.m. on Monday, a plus 300.
I love this. This is moving as much as Twitter is chattering about things right now when it comes to DA's future and Kevin Durant and all that. All over the board, everything's moving. It's nuts. So I don't know exactly where this is going to net out. It could be a 3-team deal to get KD here if it happens. Who knows where DA is going to wind up? But right now the money seems to be thinking it's Brooklyn or Phoenix, because it's Suns at plus 130 to keep DA, then Brooklyn at plus 300 to land DA. So.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but Detroit moved down.
Yes.
Is that how it would be down? It went
down,
from
and the Spurs moved into a tie with them for plus 500 in that third spot.
Because Detroit at one point in time was like 350.
Yeah, Detroit was the favorite before the draft.
Well,
So
I put $100 at plus 6,600. So I'm hoping
To
this goes
Brooklyn?
through. Yep.
oh wow, that'd be
I'm just
nice
kidding.
for
That would have
you.
been so dope if I did. No, damn it.
You're like, I put a mortgage payment
oh
on that
my
plus
gosh, this has been so
6,600.
cool.
So basically, all we're saying is, if you haven't really gotten in on the action and you want to lock in some odds, you better do so earlier because they are moving very quickly all over the place.
Can we bring in Shane for a second? Shane,
Yeah.
as our gambling expert, is this just simply because the money is going towards Brooklyn right now? Is that why we're seeing this line move so much, you think?
So yeah, we were talking about this earlier, and it's a little weird because this is a different market than you'd normally see. The example I gave was like betting on an MLB game. Like there's millions of bets being placed on those, so it's going to take a lot of money to move the line by itself. The line either changes because a lot of money is being put on it, or somebody gets injured or whatever. In this case, it could be either because they have information. But this is to me, this looks like, I think everyone saw the news on Twitter, which again, nothing's confirmed. Nobody really knows anything. People saw the news on Twitter and threw a bunch of money on the Nets because of the odds they could get then. Because it's such a smaller market, it takes a lot less money to move it. So I think that's what's happening. But it could be anything.
But that I would agree with you. But I think because of the interest right now across the country and how this is kind of taken off all of a sudden, I would wager to say that those odds are a little bit more difficult to move now because there's a lot of people throwing money in the same place. Would you agree with that, Shane?
Yeah, I'd say probably now. But again, I don't know how many markets this is available in. Certain places don't allow this on different books, and DraftKings specifically. But I think it's because of the money now. But yeah, now that you're seeing a lot more, and obviously if there is money that's moving it, it would be harder to move it now.
I love this stuff.
a lot
I'm
of it,
so
I feel like, is so
fascinated.
over my head.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
just dying at the chat. We got a couple of Lakers fans in there,
that's
and it's
fine.
What'd they
hilarious.
say?
They are so like ready to come back and try to compete for a championship after last year. They think Kyrie's going to be the savior, and I'm here to tell you,
Well, they
he's
should. They
not.
couldn't even make the play-in game. Bunch of bums.
It worked out real well with Russell
Bunch of
Westbrook as the
bums.
savior last year, right?
And
So-
like even if they did a sign and trade with the Lakers, nobody's taking Russell Westbrook.
No.
No, so you're
so-
keeping him.
so
So
you're
you're
basically-
Kyrie and Russell Westbrook.
I don't even think that can happen, can they?
Yeah, if he signs the mid-level exception.
Oh, the mid-level.
That would be
Yeah.
hilarious.
that would just be
Kyrie playing half the games and Westbrook bricking more than half his shots. That'd be
total
great.
shit show.
Well, if you guys want to get in on the action with the DraftKings Sportsbook app, download that right now because there's a really cool deal happening for you over there. UFC 276 is coming up, and there are tons of ways for those fighters to come out on top in the octagon. And with the DraftKings Sportsbook app, the official sports betting partner of the UFC, there's a lot of ways for you guys to get a W as well. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use promo code PHNX, bet $5 on any UFC 276 fighter to win and get $100 in free bets no matter what. That's code PHNX this Saturday at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
Obviously, we know why DA's odds had moved, and it's because everybody is on the KD train. The KD train that I've been on. I've been the motherfucking conductor of this thing since day one because I want to see this happen. I want to see this come to fruition. Devin Booker, KD. But you know what? It's not just about that. Wait, Espo, let me finish my goddamn read. It's not just about this. If KD doesn't come, yes, LeBron. LeBron in the house. Let's go. Because I want to see this as well. The banana boat. Let's go.
Why is
Why not?
McNutt drowning?
Monty's on the boat. Miguel's in the water hanging on for dear life.
Because
look at his armpit.
listen, if we have to go after LeBron and we somehow get him, Mikhail ain't gonna make it on that banana boat. I'm just telling you. Poor Mikhail. Poor Mikhail.
Oh, no.
This Photoshop much better than the Step Brothers Photoshop, the Banana Boat Photoshop. Heads are fairly appropriately sized. KD's was like 4 times too big on the Step Bros picture.
Shane, just know that I'm not the one that shit on you. It was Espo.
So just remember,
Per usual.
y'all, I think it was last week, correct me if I'm wrong, but Saul promised that if KD makes his way to Phoenix, so he's buying a round of Four Peaks beer over at the brewery for everyone who shows up. I want to know, does this offer extend to LeBron now?
No.
I'll buy everybody.
All right. So if KD winds up in Phoenix, 4 peaks on Saul. If LeBron winds up in Phoenix, 4 peaks on Espo.
Listen, if KD or LeBron come to Phoenix, everybody wins. If KD comes to Phoenix, you all get free beer, and you get to see my guy be a furry for a day as an Ewok.
So nobody wants that. So
and then if LeBron comes to town, then you just get free beer.
And Saul will dress up as Bronny.
No.
So basically, free beer no matter what. Thanks to PHNX and 4 Peaks is what we're talking about here. That sounds like a good deal. Hopefully, we can get one of those to happen. But in the meantime, if you guys want to pick up some 4 Peaks, we highly recommend it. And if you want to come down and check out the brewery, we are going to be there this Wednesday, pretty much all day. We're going to have all of our shows live from the 4 Peaks 8th Street Pub. So if you want to stop in for lunch, you want to join for a happy hour, whatever time of the day you're available, come join us. We're going to be there, like I said, pretty much all day doing shows,
starting
hanging
at
out.
11 o'clock. We'll be there all day from 11 to about 7, 8 o'clock.
11 till your liver taps out is how long we'll be there. So.
And they offer, tours of their brewery. They've got all kinds of things on tap and really great food as well. Just a reminder, you do have to be 21 or older to enjoy 4 Peaks beer. And we ask that you enjoy it responsibly. Well, you brought up LeBron coming here. So let's talk a little bit more about it because our friend Flex from Jersey said this weekend that if KD doesn't leave Brooklyn, that LeBron James is in play for a potential move to Phoenix. I know we joked about this a couple of months ago, but were we actually joking, I guess?
I've always thought that was the name that James Jones probably had on his radar since they're friends. Discussions could have been had in back channels. It's more likely that was talked about prior to this offseason, the KD thing. So I always thought this was a possibility. And quite frankly, I think I like the idea of LeBron more than KD just because you don't need a backup point guard at that point because he's going to take off some of the ball handling pressure from CP3 and Book. He also could play small ball center if DA is part of the deal that brings him back in. I think you have less holes you have to fill if LeBron's the guy you get in a trade over KD. Now, I like the youth of KD more, obviously, but I feel like LeBron might check a few more of the boxes that get you there.
He would, but I don't understand how exactly he's coming. He's not a free agent until 2023.
Forces a
so
trade.
If he if the season is that bad, sure, but that would require you to bring everybody back basically and have that trade flexibility come deadline time. I just don't see it. I would rather have KD, even though you'd have to trade for him and probably give up more for him. I just feel like he's probably the better plug and play guy within this offense right now.
If there's a will, there's a way, and they will find a will and a way if they want LeBron to come. Listen, I agree with Espo. Of all the people that were kind of hinted at, a couple months ago with Flex, I thought it was LeBron just because of the relationship between him and James Jones. You can't tell me that there's not a scenario where behind closed doors, you know what I mean? Like, they've got each other's number. They probably text all the time. They probably had this in the fix for like the last year. Midway through last season, Braun was like, bro, get me out of here now, please. Like, nobody wants to play for the Lakers anymore. Well, that dumpster of a franchise right now is just awful. Like, AD is going to be completely gone for this year because he's going to get hurt in like the first 2 games like he always does. LeBron's like, get me off the ship now because the Titanic is absolutely sinking.
That's unfair though, because wasn't LeBron kind of the mastermind behind?
Yeah, but that's what he does.
He built the ship, then he's about to jump.
Yeah, he builds the city and he lights it on fire on his way out. That's the LeBron way with this stuff. I mean, he did it in Cleveland, did it to Miami. Why wouldn't he do it to LA? Right? It wouldn't shock me. And look, maybe Kyrie's the guy he really wants, and he's pushing for that. And if they don't get him, and he's looking at, I got to deal with another year of Russell Westbrook being my starting point guard, and Anthony Davis, who, if there's a light wind in LA, is going to shatter like he usually does. Like, maybe he's just like, yeah, I don't want to be here, and I'm LeBron freaking James. I'll force my way out if I want to force my way out. Kind of mentality. Do I think that's more likely than the KD thing? No, but it's not beyond the scope of possibility.
Shit. Trade for KD, sign LeBron to the mid-level next
There
summer.
you go.
Let's
There you
go.
go.
Now we're
Let's go. See, now Gerald's coming on board. There we go. That's the kind of thinking, the high-level thinking we need on this podcast.
That's so funny.
I just love the superstar SEO that comes in, and then all of a sudden there's Lakers fans everywhere. But then we get important questions like this. Knight says, should I ask this girl out?
Yes, Knight.
Yes.
Yes,
Go for it.
You always should.
KD's coming to Phoenix. Dreams are coming true this summer.
I assume when he's saying, should I ask this girl out, he's referring to Lindsay
Oh.
while he's watching
Oh,
the
no.
show.
Oh,
so
no.
sure, you can ask
I
her
was
out.
like, I
No,
love
I don't
how
think
all
he
of
is.
Oh, yeah.
if they are referring to
Let's-
me as the only
let's-
woman on the show,
Let's
all of you three said yes. I'm over here like, nah, I'm good, bro.
See, but that's what
I would say,
yes,
like, shoot your shot. I want to see what the pitch is. Let's go.
yeah.
Like,
Saul's been doing
Don't
that with
talk
KD
about it.
for a month.
Be about it. Let's go.
Oh dear Lord, let's move right on along. My question: if a lot of people, there's some people in Sens Twitter who are not willing to give up Mikal for KD. Should that become available? I know a lot of people are like, hey, if it's DA, Mikal, and a little something else, I'm 100% in. Or do you feel the same way if we had to give up the same type of package for LeBron?
It's tough. He's older. He's a couple years left on the deal.
No,
I don't give up as much.
no.
Also because that could really come back to bite you in the ass if you give the Lakers all your young talent and then you get a year of LeBron and you don't win that title. Like you're playing with major fire right there.
I think you try to go for more picks than Mikal in that instance. You could make a nice package with DA Cam and picks if you need to. I would keep Mikal out of the LeBron conversation personally, but I understand he is LeBron and he still has 1 to 3 great years left.
They also have $25 million in expiring contracts, right?
Who?
The Suns. If you look at it, they have $25 million in expiring contracts when you're looking at Dario, Jay, and Cam as well. So there's a lot of which is a huge asset in the NBA. People want picks, they want expiring contracts so they can try to make moves and expedite a rebuild process. So there is options out there for this team. So you're driving Mikal to the airport? Is
Apparently.
Okay.
Like, listen, like, I love Mikal. I love what he brings to this team. I do. Again, I do. But however,
But he's driving him to the airport.
like, I don't know if I would trade him for LeBron because I do believe in this core, and I do feel like you have to have something there for when LeBron inevitably leaves, because it will happen here in the next couple of years. So if you trade Mikal and DA to the Lakers or whatever the hell the scenario would be, you're literally going to have to face those dudes for the next 5 to 10 years. And you don't really want that either. So what's the play here? I don't think I'd give up that much for LeBron, to be honest with you. I would for KD, but not for LeBron.
I love BC in the chat. Laugh out loud. Suns have no players LA wants. Didn't we just hear a whole report that their whole plan is to try to get Booker
like somewhere
in a
down the
couple
line, they want to,
yeah.
try and get Booker.
The only player anybody else wants is freaking LeBron. Nobody wants AD. He's too glass. That's it. Like, nobody wants that. Nobody wants Westbrook. Nobody wants THT. Nobody wants any of those bums.
Nobody wants Talen Horton-Tucker?
No, nobody wants that bum.
That's the reason. That's the reason why they can't get Kyrie in a trade and have to hope he's willing to sacrifice $30 million is because your roster is so bad outside of LeBron James and AD. That's tough.
He's got such a great nickname, THT. Like, why don't you want him?
Rick 77 at Kotuna in the chat says, Saul, like, I do like him, but the car's running and gas is hella expensive.
So get in. Victor, thank you for your super chat. If you accidentally sent a super chat and forgot to write your comment in there, drop it in the chat and we'll read it a little bit later. But thank you for the super chat. Either way.
Maybe it's just get KD here. Damn.
Maybe. I don't know. All right, guys, you ready for some screenshots?
Let's do it.
All right, it's time for some screenshots presented by Arizona Department of Health Services. COVID-19 vaccines are free for everyone 5 and older. Those 12 and older are also now eligible for a booster. Visit azhealth.gov/find vaccine for a location near you. First things first, the most important screenshot of them all We talked about Devin and Kendall's relationship maybe being on the rocks a few weeks ago, and then it hit mainstream social media last week. But now, hold on, guys. TMZ is saying that the two of them were spotted yesterday on Sunday at Soho House in Malibu. So maybe it's not all doom and gloom.
What can I believe? What is love anymore in this world? Is it or isn't it? I need to know.
Everything's coming up, Sons, this week. It's great. Mom
Is
and
it
Dad
good, though?
Yes,
Is it
it's-
good for
Yes.
both?
We
Yes.
talked about this. The
It's good.
Kardashian curse is bullshit.
Oh, I'm
and
not
Devin
saying
Booker
that.
started playing his best basketball when they started dating. That's when the
facts.
Suns took off, is when they started dating.
That is facts.
So maybe they broke up to get back together so we could get that same kind of upward spike.
Oh, man, he was going to be the biggest free agent on the Phoenix
I
dating
don't
market.
care.
And now he's back. Like, the women of Phoenix have been disappointed by this.
He was available before Kendall came into the picture, and nobody had a chance anyway. That's why he went to LA.
Are you saying that's
Dun,
slight?
dun,
Oh,
dun.
that's a slight on the women of Phoenix, Saul.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, I
You
was
ju-
thinking you were going with the LA thing.
Oh.
I didn't think you were going that route.
Yeah,
I thought you meant like, wow, you just jinxed it. Now Book's going to end up in LA. Way
Book
to
wants
go,
to be in
Saul.
LA.
That's what I was going with,
That's
but
what I
you
was
chose
thinking.
the disrespect to the Phoenix women.
Oh, man.
Get out of here.
Yeah, protect the ladies.
It's like sometimes I think I know where you guys are
I didn't-
going,
I
and then
didn't-
I have no freaking clue where you're
listen.
going.
I was on the same page as you. I did exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't Charles Barkley this situation and trash the women of Phoenix.
You said they had their shot for 2 years, and he had to go to LA to find somebody.
I said they had their shot for 2 years and nobody could get the job done, so he took off.
If Devin Booker's happy, I'm happy. That's what I'm going to say.
What's wrong with that?
That's my thing.
If Book's
right?
happy, I'm happy for him.
I just hope, my only hope is that they figure this out throughout the offseason. So come the season, this is like they're in either a really solid place in their relationship or they've decided to move on because everyone knows relationship drama is not healthy.
Baby, don't
Listen.
hurt
So-
me.
Listen, Book and
No
Kendall
more.
are going to get married. That's going to happen. They were on a break,
Oh, God.
We were
and
on
now
a
they're
break.
back. And now they're back. Which one?
What theory?
The one on the screen.
Booker reacquiring Kendall as an asset so he can trade it to Brooklyn so Blake Griffin and Ben Simmons accept the trade for KT.
Oh.
Dear Lord.
Yikes! I don't think
Josh Hunt in
I
the
don't think
chat,
it's allowed
folks.
in the CBA. I don't think that's. I don't think it was collectively bargained. All right.
All right. Shane, we're going to swap the next two screenshots, okay? So the next screenshot that we've got, this is a tweet from Mikal Bridges. So a fan had tweeted at Mikal saying, "I'm going to miss you in Phoenix," to which Mikal quote tweeted with the eyeball emojis. We've seen everyone already in the comments from the start of the show being like, the Mikal tweet, he is telling us something. No, you guys, Mikal is
Oh my
trolling the
God.
hell out
Dude,
of all
I
of
bet
us right now.
I bet these dudes sometimes are just like, hey, look at this. Look at this. Watch me fuck with this dude.
Yep.
And boom. That's it. I'm gonna just put eyes on this. That's it.
That's McHale's MO. It sounds like he does that to his teammates at the
Yeah.
facility and everything. Like I am all
Oh, yeah.
in on Mikal Bridges trolling every one of us that does this.
Agreed.
You know, that has to follow every tea leaf on social media to figure out what's
Joel Martinez in the chat. Mikhail Hall of Fame troll Brad
Yeah.
activated.
100%.
Oh, yeah. He told us at the charity softball event the other day that he follows along with all this stuff on Twitter just like we do. And so you know that he likes to have fun with this type of thing.
Imagine
He
if
wants to stir the pot a
Exactly.
little bit.
Imagine if he doesn't get dealt and you have Katie and Mikal Bridges running those
Oh
social
my
media
gosh.
troll jobs on the
Oh my
same
gosh.
team.
They might share the same burner account at that moment. Like,
Those
hey,
are like-
whose turn is it today?
Those are,
Who he roasting.
Dude, you know how they have that extra thing on Twitter now where you can pay to get certain tweets from people? If the two of them
Oh,
teamed
super
up for a
followers?
burner account, I would 100% pay $5 a month or whatever it is to get
Just
access
read
to
it.
those tweets.
Sure, yeah. Tell me your unfiltered thought here. I'm all
Like,
for it.
let's go. That'd be so fantastic.
Just I can't wait for some of the media members in this town to have to deal with Katie and Mikhail just throwing shade left and right.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Sometimes less is more.
Oh my
They're,
gosh.
the two of them together is like a Sour Patch Kid. Like, Mikkel's a little bit on the sweeter side.
Mhm.
Katie's a little more on the sour side.
I
But
don't-
they go together very well.
Some media members would not be able to handle that.
No,
They
I
would
love
they
it.
would literally
No.
be like, well, why would he post that if he didn't mean it? And then, well, we got to ask him, Mikhail, what was the eye emojis? Is it because you're going to get traded for LeBron? That's what everybody seems to think. and just force him to answer that question like, bro, I was fucking with everybody.
You kidding? I would almost make that my goal to get trolled by one of them next year on social media for something. That's just fun.
Hopefully something positive.
Negative, positive, I don't care. Let's have some fun.
All right. And then our final AZ Health screenshot of the afternoon. This past weekend, ESPN shared an article with the story of Ryan Resch, the Suns' VP of Strategy and Evaluation. In that story, Ryan shared publicly that he is gay, and he is the first person to ever do so while working basketball operations in an NBA front office. And in the article, he shared that he aims to normalize the existence of gay men and women in the basketball side of things.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy for him. I love this for him. Ryan Resch and I got to work together. He's a super great guy. He was always really kind, super quiet. So the fact that he was willing to be so open about this, especially the first of somebody coming out and sharing this, is amazing for him.
What I loved was James Jones' reaction. They asked him, hey, when did you tell James? And he said, I just kind of brought it up during the finals because I wanted to bring my significant other, the person I was seeing, to a game. And James was just like, okay, cool. Like, it was no big deal. Like, there was no massive reaction. And I think that's the way it should be. I hope that that's the way that most, employers would react in that kind of situation. It's like, great, you do you. I'm glad for you. Like, I thought that was really cool out of that story that was just, it was normalized, and that's where we need to get. And I'm glad he was willing to share his story to help us get there in front offices around different leagues.
Yeah, this is great. And we saw this comment last week with the Morgan Cato story as well about why are we talking about this? The goal is for this to be a normal thing that we don't talk about. We're not there yet, is the point. So these things should be celebrated, because the whole point of highlighting stories like these is that we're moving in a more positive direction where everyone is represented and when there's no glass ceiling over anybody. So this is a cool moment. This is something that should be celebrated, and it's a good thing.
Yeah, it makes it where it is. Hopefully somebody else that is afraid to say something working in a front office somewhere finds it easier to say it. And there isn't a big deal, the next few times. That's why, like we talked about, the first person to do anything like this should be celebrated, should be shared, so it helps ease anybody else that may be in that situation, be afraid to say something.
I mean, any progress should be celebrated, especially after you see what happened last week. And if you're just standing still and not doing anything, sometimes it'll regress, and you don't want to go that way. So anytime you see these kind of stories, it's always good to celebrate them, because it means we're going in the right direction. At least this franchise is, and this front office is, to this extent. Yeah,
absolutely. So congrats, Ryan. We're really happy for you. So that was some really good news that we got this past weekend. Guys, that's pretty much it for our show. We do have one last ad read, and somebody asked if there would be a Surfer Lindsay, and I say no, but it has been a really long time since we've done any sort of ad read roulette.
Oh, no. Are we doing that again?
Well, I forgot to ask if we had an ad read roulette, but I feel like Shane should just pick a number between 1 and 10, and whoever is closest to it has to do an ad read roulette.
Here's my pick.
That's all I'm saying.
Lindsay's reading it as a surfer.
Oh, right.
We did have that request in the chat.
But I already did it.
Should
but
we
you
do
were
it
so
as
good that we should
you do
it
the
again.
surfer, I do Cookie Monster, and we go back and forth on an OG's read?
No.
Yes.
Hate
Because you got
Cookie
the
Monster.
munchies, so
I hate Cookie Monster.
Ask me if I give a shit what you care about.
I hate
Saul.
Cookie
I don't.
Monster.
Listen, this is what you get. I
Okay,
was down to play a legitimate
Here it
game
is.
where we all had equal opportunity to win or lose, depending on how you look at it. You guys tried to play the opposite end, pin it on me, so this is what you get.
All right.
I just sat here.
All right. Pick a number 1 through 4.
No, it's fine.
No,
Let
we're
these
doing it.
two-
We're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing
1
it.
through 4?
1 through 4. Gerald, go ahead.
3.
Okay,
Damn, Gerald, that's my number.
It's Saul.
He's just
Saul is reading it as the automated voice that you hear at a grocery store when it says unexpected item in the bagging area.
Oh, that's a good one.
All right, give me the.
Okay. There you go.
What are we doing? OGs?
Oh, geez.
OGs just launched their first ever limited edition seasonal flavor, Pina Colada. a perfect pineapple and creamy coconut blend. Check out OG's online at ogsbrands.com. OGEEZBRANDS.com. Stupid. And on Instagram at OG's Brands. You can also find their products at your local dispensary. Must be 21 years or older to purchase. There you go.
I
Well
like
done.
the little
Nice.
two purchase.
Two purchase.
That was cute.
Yay.
Good job, Saul.
Good work,
Good job.
Saul.
All right, cool. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you. We hope you have a great rest of your Monday. We will be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. as always, same place. Until we see you guys tomorrow, you can always follow along with us on Twitter. I'm at Lindsay Smith AZ. Gerald is at Gerald Bourget. Saul is at Saul_Bookman. And Espo is at Espo. Espo, take us home.
Me bring Nookie Monster back.
Oh
just
my
to
God.
bother
End the show right now.
Megas in control and he ain't never gonna let go. PHNX though, Lindsay, Gerald, Espo. Saul pass the ball, we here to turn up the tempo. Got to understand me, I'll always rep the family. Rally in the valley like Dan G, no plan B. Always on the job, my team move like the mob, turn the beat on.